All right. All right, everybody. So welcome to session 5 of our Women's Future Leadership Academy. Today, it's all about financial empowerment. Our Future Leadership Academy could not be possible without our great sponsors, Sanofi, ADP, NJR, Allstate, AmeriHealth, L'Oreal, Lockheed Martin, PSEG, and Subaru. All right, so this is session 5 of our financial empowerment series, but if you attend 5 or more sessions, whether it's watching it live or watching it pre-recorded, you can earn a certificate of leadership. Now, what does that entail? So this project is really just going to be highlighting your key takeaways from the academy. So anything that you learned, how you've grown as a person, or how this program will help you in the future. Now, this project will be submitted to our colleague, Christy Bedron, and it can be a narrative, a journal entry, video, infographic, podcast, web page, really anything that just showcases your creativity and reflects your personality. And just a heads up, these projects will not be graded, but you will receive the certificate of leadership that will be a really great addition to your college application as well as your resume. All right, so today's agenda, we will start our panel on financial empowerment hosted by Santander. Later on, we'll have some time for a Q&A. And then before the session concludes, we do have some exciting resources and next steps that will help you put everything that you learned today into practice. All right, so we're about to begin our panel, and today's volunteers are from Santander. We thank you all so much for being here today. I'm excited to learn more financial advice. I think you can never stop growing and learning, so I'm really excited for all you ladies to be here with us today. And up on the screen, we have our guest speakers. We do have Ellen, Sheila, Pamela, Rosalie, Brandy, and Nanette, all from Santander, and we're going to hear from them in just a few moments. Now, today's moderator, you might remember her from our first panel of our Women's Future Leadership Academy. We have Oriana Nelson, who's going to be walking us through the panel discussion today. She is a freshman at Princeton University who's majoring in environmental engineering. So we're so excited for her to be back with us to moderate today's panel. So now I'll kick it to you, Oriana.
Hi everyone, my name is Oriana, as Mia mentioned, and I'm currently a student at Princeton University School of Engineering and Applied Science. As much as I love STEM, mentorship and community development are also very important to me. This is why I'm so excited to be here with you today, moderating another great session of JANJ, Women's Future Leadership Academy. We have a handful of engaging questions that our panelists are eager to answer. Before they do that, they will introduce themselves and explain their role at Santander in the following order: Ellen, Nanette, Pamela, and Sheila.
Thank you very much, Oriana, for having us and for getting us all prepared to speak today. My name's Ellen Lissy Rosenberg. I'm a Community Partnerships Manager at Santander Bank, which means that my job is really to connect organizations like Junior Achievement, organizations that build affordable housing and that support the communities where we work with the resources at the bank, people, volunteers, time, and expertise. Thanks.
Hi, good afternoon all. Hi, good afternoon all. This is Ned Jimenez. I'm the Community Mortgage Development Officer. My job is a great job. I love my job. First and foremost, I need to say that. And working for Santander is also a plus. But my main duties is to do workshops and seminars to first-time home buyers. And education is knowledge, is key to anything that you do. And that's why I enjoy my job, especially the part of the education. I write loans, I help people get into homes with affordable mortgages that we offer and different various programs that we do offer. But I must say my heart is in the education piece. And I want to thank JA for allowing me this opportunity to be before you all via camera to speak. And thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, how are you guys? My name is Pamela Benitez. I'm a full-time teller at Santander Bank. I've been there for a year and a half now. I basically do the basics, just help people with, bringing in money to the bank, taking out money into the bank. I also do referrals to our bankers, basically the basic stuff. I'm bilingual, so I help a lot with our Spanish customers as well. So that helps us bring in a lot of traffic as well into the bank. And I wanted to thank Oriana and Santander for this opportunity. I'm excited to speak to you guys about all the financial advice that I know so far.
Alrighty, thank you all for those amazing introductions. Now you can move on right into the panel's questions. The first being, as women, have you ever encountered the gender income gap? And Ellen, we're glad to start us off with that question. You're muted.
Oh, thanks. I was waiting. I figured it would happen to somebody else first, but good. So when JA was kind enough to share the questions with us a few days ago, and I was thinking a little bit about this question, I think we've all seen the statistics and we know that there is a difference in what women are paid to what men are paid. But I think the piece about personal experience is that for most people, especially in the early parts of their career, you don't really know what your counterparts are paid, right? There's not a lot of salary transparency. So if you're working a job, it's not common that you would know what your colleagues earn. I think one of the things that stands out to me is that a lot of times the careers that women have traditionally been steered to or trained for careers that just don't pay as much. So rather than the difference between two people doing the same job, in my experience, rather than just seeing two people who do the same job, one being paid $1 an hour and the other one being paid 77 cents an hour, you see different kinds of careers that women tend to be in that actually pay lower. So being in careers in childcare, teaching, social work, caring-based careers that actually pay less than careers that men have traditionally been steered to. Although, Oriana, you're going into a very male-dominated field and, look like you're going to kick some butt. So I'll watch out for that.
Thank you. Great, thank you for that great response. Will Pamela also like to add to that question?
Yeah, so I haven't, I'm only 20, so I haven't really experienced a gender wage gap. Not that I know of, I'm not that high up in my career yet to have seen that, but obviously it's something that, people talk about, the statistics have shown it. So I would just give advice, basically to get some knowledge when going into an interview or even applying, just grab some knowledge about the company you're applying for, educate yourself on the roles, what their pay is, so that when you're with the interviewer, you can actually speak about the pay when you're getting through the process. You can actually be educated on that. So, you won't be taken advantage of. And I think that's really important to definitely not only research the company, but also other companies as well in states to see what they could pay you and what you think you're worth of paying with your knowledge, your experience, certifications, skills. So I think that's really important.
And Pamela, I was just going to jump onto what you said. You said, to research and understand what you're worth. And I think that's a really important distinction that sometimes as young girls, they don't reinforce for us. It's Like, what do you need to earn so that you can support your life? Or what do you want to earn? And I think the better question is really what you just said, which is, what are you worth, right? What are you delivering to your employer, and what is that worth to them? Instead of it being about, what do your friends make, or what do you need in order to afford your lifestyle?
Good point.
Great. Thank you so much for those responses, especially as I'm still young and I'm still getting used to the business world of things. And as Ellen pointed out, I am going into STEM, which is a male dominated force, but it is really important to, know your worth, as they both pointed out. Especially as I said before, someone going into a male dominated field, it's important to know, I have education, I'm working hard for it. So if I'm doing the work for it, I deserve a good pay. I know what I'm worthy of. I know what I'm delivering to you. So I think it's really important. I'm really glad they brought that across. So going on to our second question, what is the best piece of financial advice that you have ever received? Would Nanette like to start us off with that question?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Ariana. I've been in the mortgage industry / real estate industry for the last 22 years. And when I started, I was a housing counselor. And I really took to the lady that took me under her wing and mentored me. And one thing that she shared with our clients that I really grabbed the grasp, I grabbed it and I ran with it. And I also share it today with my clients is she had made a point to the clients that were in the office looking to purchase a home. And she asked the question, she's like, okay, so how much do you pay in rent? The answer was 1,500. She's like, okay, and you're looking to purchase a house, which is going to cost you 2,000 a month. So that $500 difference, she challenged them to save that 500 a month. And it really made sense because she said two things that she was doing with them. One was getting them prepared to make a $2,000 payment for that new mortgage without the obligation. And at the same time, saving 500 a month, which times 12, it added up, which could have been used for either down payment, closing costs, or even just a cushion, because emergency funds is imperative in life. You should always have an emergency fund. So she would say, challenge yourself to save that money. And honestly, I've taken it even a step further in my own personal life, where if I want to buy a car, I'll challenge myself. If the car payment's going to be $300 a month, I'll save $300 a month for the next 12 months. That helps me to get used to that car payment of $300 a month, let's just say. And it also helps to build that savings so I have a decent down payment. So that piece of advice really has helped me come a long way. And when I share that with my clients, even today, they appreciate it and the light bulb goes off and they start to realize that it's something that it is doable. And that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much for that. Would Ellen also like to add on to that?
Will, and I was very careful that I'm unmuted this time, so I can start the right foot with this answer. I guess I have two pieces of advice that have stuck with me. One, tying into what Nanette just said, I watch a lot of Shark Tank, and one of the things you always hear the sharks say to the business owners is you have to know your numbers. And I've tried to take that, that piece of advice and apply it in my personal life as well. And to make sure that I really know, I think a lot of times people will have a pretty good grasp on what their income is. Either they work the same number of hours every week and their paycheck is similar, or they're on a salary. But I think way too many times we don't know what we spend. We don't know what we spend in a month. And so if we're earning $1,000 in a month, at the end of the month, we might find that we have nothing left over. And if I ask somebody to write down, especially when I was younger, somebody asked me to write down, like, where did that $1,000 go? It's really, other than your big costs, if you have rent or an electric bill, it's really hard to know what those are. And Pamela said to empower yourself with knowledge when you go, to negotiate your salary. I would really encourage, and I've tried to take that myself, to know what I spend on a regular basis, so that I know, I think what you're doing is you're looking at what are the fixed amounts or the bills that you have no choice about paying. as an adult, you probably have rent, you might have health insurance, you'll have food, you might have transportation, you have a cell phone bill, an electric bill. Those are things that you don't really have a choice about paying. You're going to have to pay them every month, no matter what. And I would encourage you to put into that list of things that you have to pay every month. I would encourage you to put in a number for savings, which I know we'll talk more about later. But once you get an understanding of what those amounts are, you'll know what's left. So you'll know that every month, after you've paid the things that you absolutely have to pay, including savings, that you have $200 left. And that empowers you to spend that $200 differently, right? That means that when you think about buying a pair of shoes or going on a trip or buying a gift or going out to dinner, you know what the whole amount is that you have available to you every month. And then you can make different kinds of and hopefully smarter decisions about how you spend that remaining $200.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate how you guys both emphasize sharing, saving your money, because especially as most of us of the audience we're all young, right? And it's so important to realize that it's not something you have to do when you're older. It's something you can start now. If you have a job or you have a get an allowance, start saving up now, and it builds up over time. So when you have to start paying bills or like paying for your cell phone bill, small things like that when you're older, you have the ability to because you have money saved in your bank. So I really appreciate your emphasis on saving. It's really, really important. Now moving on to the fourth question, when something it's kind of tied back into a little bit earlier, so we'll swing back around to it, which is the importance of paying yourself first. Would Shayla like to add if your audio is a little bit better?
All right. Going back off of what Ellen was saying for this next question, a budget is so important and so right on point, Ellen. And I'm glad you brought that up because within the importance of paying yourself first, a lot of people tend to do a budget where they're not even counting on, wait a minute, what is my worth? What do I need? And what do I deserve? Right. And so in doing your budget, after you see that you have that 200, right? Basically, I would say even before you start paying all your debts, you should pay yourself first. And even if it's $50 or $100, set that aside. And in setting that aside, you're paying yourself first, right? But at the same time, you have to have a balance in life. And all work and no play can make for a miserable life. And yet all play and no work can mean you're going to be broke, right? So in paying yourself first, you also want to take into consideration that part of that balance would mean, what do you need? If you're working hard all year, you deserve and you need a break. So if that break means planning one really big vacation or maybe a spa day, that's going to cost a certain amount of money, you deserve that break, especially after working a long, hard year, whether it's studying and working or just studying. And so paying yourself first would help you to balance your life because now you have that money saved in order to do that pampering that you so deserved. And again, it comes down to what had been said before. What is your worth? And in your worth, you need to take care of yourself. And in taking care of yourself, that balance comes into play and you're able to work harder, work stronger, and be more in a mindset of normalcy because you're not just working all the time. So that's what paying yourself first really makes a difference in a life.
Thank you for that amazing response. Especially as a college student, I'm trying to figure out the balance between work and life in general, and it's hard, especially now with this new lifestyle. Everything's virtual. It's kind of hard to differentiate your work life and your home life, and it's very important to take those couple minutes to be like, you know what, I need a break. I need to relax. Let me treat myself, and it's something that I'm trying to learn as well. And I think it's important, especially to all our high schoolers, our young women attending, to understand that yes, you're hardworking, devoted students, but you are important and you deserve to take care of yourself as well. So I really thank you for emphasizing that point.
Absolutely.
So in the importance of paying yourself first, I think it's really important. Since a young age, I always try to save, like, even if it was like $5, $10. Like, I would get an allowance for $20 from my parents weekly, and I would like save 5 or 10 in the week, and like whatever I needed, if for gas money or something else, like I would, use that. But I would always try and keep like 5 to 10. And then like it starts adding up. When I got to started going to college, it was really important because things can come up. Books are very expensive. So it's important to, have that little cash on the side that, you don't feel like you're stressing out about buying books. School is already expensive as it is. Tuition is already expensive. So having that extra cash for expenses like supplies, books, even going to lunch with your friends, I think that's so important. It can get stressful during college, for sure, during finals, midterms. And, sometimes when you're studying, you want to have a snack or something, go get anything breakfast with your friends. So I think it's important to have. So yes, some cash to the side, to have fun, but it's also good to set that cash aside for your big goals that are coming up in the next 5, 10 years. So I think it's really important.
All right, thank you for that, especially introducing the student perspective on like how expensive school is. Like, I'll give you an example. Like this year alone, like I was able to save up money, so I was able to buy myself a new laptop, which was crucial in this whole virtual environment. Without a laptop, it was hard to get around and get the information I needed for classes. So it's very important that I was able to save up the money that I needed because I paid for it by myself, and it was really helpful during the semester. So it's really important to start saving up now, as you mentioned, and as Pamela also mentioned, the small expenses and how everything adds up with school and like with books and everything. She said they're expensive. So as much as you can save up now, definitely take on that for now and for future expenses. Thank you so much, Brandy and Rosalie, for joining. If you guys want to add on to that, the question that we're answering is the importance of paying yourself first. If not, we can happily move on to the fifth question.
Hi guys. Sorry I joined a little. But yeah, on the importance of paying yourself back, this is something that I was taught at a very young age, only because we were always taught to treat ourselves as not only that, but the most important bill in our lives, only because there are so many life-changing events that can come across our ways, whether it be, financial burden with a home or, looking to pay for school. So I know me personally, paying myself first allows me to have a good work-life balance, because I know that when I'm not here, I can take that time out to cater to myself, cater to the things that I want to do, travel to the places that I want to see, be able to have that peace of mind. There's nothing more important than saving for that peace of mind, only because you know that if anything goes wrong, you have it there. And it's very sad when you get to the age where you consider retirement and you consider maybe moving out of state, and you didn't put yourself first. You always took care of all your bills and your expenses and your school and college, and it's just it's crucial. And like you mentioned before, Oriana, being younger, and I was guilty for it. I thought that when it said to save was more so when it's like something that adults do, but it's not. It's something that we start right now when we come up with a plan on how we're going to do that, whether it be like at $100 or $200 or $25. But starting small is going to get you more than that. But
Thank you so much of emphasizing that. Oh, sorry. Do you want to add on to that, Ellen?
I wanted to let Rose go if she has something.
Yes,
to
of
add.
course.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. I finally got like the issue resolved. So I'm actually calling from the financial district branch, and I'm a relationship banker. So just want to like let everybody know I really like a lot of the stuff that I've been hearing. And going back to the question of the importance of paying yourself first, basically the way I see it, like all the answers, everybody's answers from question 2 to 3 ties into 4. And from Pamela, I think it was really knowing your worth and asking, like demanding from it, for it actually. And that's like one of the things that I learned early on. I had a manager who she wasn't my direct manager, but when I was getting promoted given additional responsibility, she pulled me aside and she really, like she talked to me and like she really emphasized that importance of like really knowing your worth and what you can contribute to the company, to the job that you're putting yourself in. And honestly, if I had not spoken with her, I think I would just like take, whatever is offered to me. So, really knowing also like what the mean salary is and everything. That's part of, and also being able to save. That's all part of like being able to pay yourself first eventually, because that's kind of like the goal at the end. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pay yourself if you're in a job where you're not getting paid, based on the amount of work that you're putting in. And also you're not going to be able to, treat yourself every now and then if you are not able to save. And there's a lot of reason why you cannot save, maybe familiar obligations and stuff like that. But if you can, like even like, what they say, like a penny a day can save in a rainy day. That adage is very, very true. Like any change that you have in your pocket, just put it in a jar or whatever. Working in a branch, I do see a lot of people like bringing in their coins and stuff like that they just like see everywhere. And a lot of it like, turns into like money that they can maybe, like give themselves like a pedicure spa or something like that. Because it's good to be able to like treat yourself. You deserve it. We all do. And being able to create a budget and like really sticking on with it and just really identifying what's important. That's all really all tied in, and that usually I would say that starts at home. That starts at a very young age. And if you haven't developed it at a very young age, it's never too late.
Yeah, I was going to jump in on what Rosalie just said, because you were saying like to start at a young age. I think people used to say that to me. I know people used to say that to me, start saving early. And I think I always just thought that meant, if you start early, you'll put more money away. If you put away $100 every year, that after 3 years, you will have put away $300. And I think what no one really ever explained to me, that I honestly feel like I've learned and thought about more in the last 6 months than I've ever had before. This is certainly not, this is not the place, and I'm not the expert to talk about the concept of compound interest, which means, putting money away and having it, basically the bank will pay you to hold your money for long periods of time. But really, it's not just that if you start putting away $100 a year, for 10 years, you've put away $1,000. It's that the $100, if you put $100 away in a savings account right now for your retirement, if you do nothing else and you just leave that money sitting there, in 50 years, it'll be worth, $1,500 or $2,000, depending on the interest rate that you're getting. And you've done nothing. All you've done is at the age of 18, you put $100 away, that money grows and you have to do nothing. And so the advice to save early isn't just about having more years to save. It's having more years for that money to grow, where you don't have to do anything and it just grows and grows for you. So the earlier you put that $100 away, the bigger and the more money it is at the end when you go to take it out.
All right, thank you so much for that addition. Sheila, want to try one more time? If not, we can always have you respond in the chat and I'll be happy to read it out loud. But while I'm talking about the chat, if you have any questions, please feel free. It's a perfect opportunity because we're starting to segue into the Q&A. So please feel free to ask any question you may have. While we wait for that, we are going to continue with the 5th question. which is please share one of your most important teachable moments when it comes to finances. Would Pamela like to start us off with that question?
Yes, I actually would. All right. Give me one. So basically, something that I find really important ever since I started working for Santander in the bank, something I didn't, I didn't get educated on in high school with as much, or even in college, honestly, they barely talked about it, was definitely a 401k. Basically, a 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement plan, and it has a lot of benefits that honestly I didn't know about until I started working for the bank. So basically, as we were saying before, to put aside money, like pay yourself first, that's definitely what it is. So basically, it's taking money out of your paycheck before it gets taxed and it's putting it aside to that 401k. This is like a retirement savings, so you have that extra money available. Another benefit of that is also that if your employer offers to match the contribution, let's say you want to contribute 5% of your paycheck, and they match it, so they match another 5%, then you're getting 10%. That means you're getting the amount that they match for free. So it's like basically essentially getting free money. So it's definitely something you could look into when you're looking for a job. I think it's important to see if your employer, the company you work for, offers that 401k.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Personally, I don't know too much about it. My mom often talked about it when she grew up, and told me throughout my years, because she used to work at Wall Street, so talk about the importance of having a 401k and having it build up. A lot of people come to, when they come of old age, they have to rely on Social Security, because they don't have enough money they have saved for retirement. It's really important to start saving as soon as you can. So thank you so much for emphasizing that. Would Brandy like to say a few words? If not, what about Nanette? Would you like to say a couple words about that?
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
Brandy's back. Oh, sorry.
That's
Okay,
okay.
so Nanette first and then Brandy. We could do like that. There's no problem.
Sure. I appreciate that. Two things that come to mind when Pamela was speaking on retirement. Number one, it comes fast. I mean, if I tell you I just turned 55, I feel like I'm 39, but it came fast. And I'm like, I look in the mirror, I can't even believe I'm 55 because I still feel like I'm 39. But now that you're young, start saving now, because by the time you get to retirement age, Social Security may not even exist, because they're constantly talking about doing away with Social Security. And so you don't want to fall into that bracket where you're not able to get Social Security. And to be honest with you, I see a lot of older folks that do receive Social Security, and it's not even enough money to live on, especially if you're living in New York. So now that you're young, to Ellen's point before, start putting that money in the bank now, letting it grow. And 401k is the best way to help it to grow. So when you get to that retirement age, you're not depending on Social Security. And if it's not around, it's not going to bother you because you have something else to fall back on. And while you're young, start saving, because like I said, retirement comes quickly, very quickly. Thank you.
Just to add on to that, the importance of that, but the 401k, if your employer matches it, then you're getting free money as well. So it really is important. It really is. I'm only 20 and I'm already thinking about my retirement, but it's super important because you will need something to fall back on. You don't want to have to rely on other sources, like she said. The Social Security may not be around when we're older, so it's important.
And free money. Who wouldn't want free money, right, Pamela? Jump on it.
All right, so would Brandy also like it to add on to that one? I know I promised that she would get a chance to speak on that behalf.
Hi, it's Rosalie again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I just want to go back to what Ellen said earlier about compounding interest. I mean, 401k is great, especially if you're going to like get a job, like definitely like, check into like their 401k and like how they're going to be able to help you as an employee, because that's a benefit that a lot of people don't really count on. But going back to compounding interest, and I guess I'm speaking from this point of view as a banker, it's really important as you start saving money, as you start having your first checking account and savings account and stuff like that. Ask your bankers, talk to your bankers. They know a lot about how you can save money. I mean, this is what we see every day. We're looking at, ways that you can help finance, whether you're going on vacation or you're planning to go to school or grad school, or maybe you just want to like save the money on a rainy day, and there are different, it's not just like a savings account. There's other products out there, and it's not that I'm peddling, like the products that we sell in the bank, but these are services that there's no commitment. I mean, ask questions, and this is like something very important. And I even tell my daughter this, like, lean in. Anything that you're not familiar with, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask why. I think sometimes, as girls and as women, we're kind of like trained to be polite and not to ask like too many questions. But that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to learn about life and learning from other people's experiences and stuff like that. And maybe it's not for you, but like maybe if it's for you, then it's going to work really well. And so that's like something that I learned about that at an early age. Unfortunately, I'm not, I'm a little bit of a spendthrift, so, I don't really, I'm not like, I do save money. I use 401k as a savings for myself because, I'm not that disciplined. But what I tell my clients, and especially young people that sits in front of me here in the bank, I always like tell them, like this is, you have to like make your money work for you.
Thank you so much for that addition. It's truly appreciated. We are now moving on to the last question. So I just wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to answer this question. So if Sheila, you would like to start typing your question and response, and I'll be able to share it last. I'll be happy to do so. But yeah, I just wanted to get into the last question, which is, can you share a bit about the importance of saving, which you touched upon earlier, but if anything else to add, I would greatly appreciate it. Will Nanette like to start us off first with this question?
Sure.
Thank
I
you.
like what Rosalie said earlier, and it's such a cliche, but it's a good cliche. The one where she said, a penny a day, right? Save for a rainy day. Save for a rainy day is what she said, actually. And it's true, because those of you that are going into college, you've already heard it spoken that you're going to need money for books. In Ariana's case, she was smart enough to save money so that she can have a laptop. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't be able to do her classes. So saving for a rainy day, there's those emergencies that come up, things that you don't think of. And even just putting $10 a week away or $10 a month away, you'll have those funds when you least expect that you needed it, right? And you don't have to go borrowing from mom and dad or borrowing from anyone else, because it's a great feeling if you're able to be able to make those purchases that come out out of nowhere, right? So saving for a rainy day does make sense. It's very important to save. When you get older, if you get into that habit now of saving, it's just going to be that much easier for you to save. And then, the better things in life, it'll be easier for you to come across, like purchasing a home or purchasing a car or going on vacation. It all starts with saving. And again, paying yourself first is part of that savings. And you should really think about doing that. Again, going back to a budget, if in your budget, you don't seem like there's enough money to go around so that you can save, one piece of advice that I will give and share and helping you to save is, if you tend to use your debit card, go back to that monthly statement, your bank statement, and analyze it. See where is your money going? Maybe you're doing your nails 3 times a month, and it only requires you to have your nails done 1 a month. So you can then cut that down and use that money that you're using for your nails to put into a savings. I'm a big coffee drinker, and when I analyzed my monthly statement, I realized that, oh my goodness, I had been going to 7-Eleven thinking it's not Starbucks. I'm not paying $7 for a cup of coffee. I'm only paying $1.25. But you know what? If I go every day, 2 times a day, that's $3 a day that I'm spending on coffee. So in analyzing my monthly statement, I realized $3 a day adds up times 7, right? So now I started, you know what? I go to Walmart, I buy the big 96 count box of coffee, which ends up being 33 cents a cup of coffee, and I'm able to save $1 a day on my coffee, or $2 a day, because I'm not spending it at the 7-Eleven. So when analyzing your expenses, it'll be a lot easier for you to realize where your money's going, and that you're able to rein it back in so that you're able to save. Another point that Ellen had made is, I tend not to walk around with cash, because I realize that when I have $20 in my pocket, I come back at the end of the day and I have 2 cents left, and I cannot remember where I spent that $20 that day. So trying to stay away from carrying cash and working with a debit card so that you're able to see where you're spending your money so that you can rein it back in, that would really, really help you in saving. And again, saving money is crucial to what you want, bigger and better things in life, as far as education, as far as the laptop, as far as whatever it is that you may find that you need at the end of the day.
I think it's so interesting, Nanette, and I think I've heard every single person who's spoken, including Ariana, when Oriana said that, she needed the laptop, but she was very lucky that she had made the commitment to save, and she was able to buy that laptop that she needed. This common theme that we keep hearing is really, and this is so uniquely important to women, is independence and control over your own life and your own destiny, right? And that, being able to build up a savings for yourself means that now you have the power, you have the money that you need to be able to do the things that are important to you, and you don't have to go to someone else. Look, banks can be wonderful, and they can help you in many, many ways. But if you have to go to a bank to ask for a loan to buy your laptop, somebody else controls whether or not you get that money. If you're like Oriana and you've saved that money for yourself, or you've decided to give up your coffee habit, or whatever it is that you've done to build up that amount of money, then when you want to buy a car, you're the one that's in control, and you're in the driver's seat, right? And you get to decide what's the amount of money you want to spend on the car, or can I buy the laptop now? I think it gives anybody, control and independence, but that's particularly important for women and girls.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you. Oh, sorry. You wanted to say something else?
No, I just love what Ellen just said.
Yes, me too. I truly appreciate all the advice you guys gave today. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up and start to get into the Q&A session, just to make sure everyone has to have their questions addressed. If you haven't had any questions or sent any yet, please put them in the chat. We're all happy to answer. And then I quickly, and just to add what Sheila said, it's important to save because life can have some unexpected moments. Having a savings could carry you through that time. It can also give you peace of mind. I completely agree with that. As I said before, having the extra money to help me save my laptop, buy my laptop really helped me, so I didn't have to rely on my parents. And having that independence, especially young, is really helpful. Even small things like having money to pay for your own gas and everything really does help. Yeah, so I'm going to kick it off to Mia so we can start off our Q&A session. But before I do so, I truly want to thank our panelists for being so awesome and giving amazing advice. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Oriana, for moderating, and thank you to all of our, wonderful Santander mentors. I certainly learned a lot. I think talking about finances is something that's so taboo, and I'm happy that we're in a safe space to be talking about these things and learning from one another. So we are entering the Q&A. I do want to encourage all the students to send in your comments, questions. You could put it into the chat box or you can send it to me directly. One of the main questions that I'm happy was sent over to me because we didn't really talk about it, but so I'm going to open it up to the group. What is a credit score and why is it important? And I'm excited to hear from you all because I feel, you know, I didn't really think about my credit score when I was in high school or even in college, unfortunately. So does anybody have any feedback on credit scores? And go ahead, Nanette.
Right up my alley. Okay, so a credit score is what the banks use, or believe it or not, employers use, banks use, insurance company uses to determine how you manage your money, how you are as a person. When I'm doing these seminars for the bank, I usually ask the question to my audience. And the question goes like this, and I want you all to, at least the panelists that I can see, raise your hand. How many of you would lend me $100,000 right now? Right? And people look at me and they're like, no way. And I'm like, why not? They're like, because we don't know you. I'm like, exactly. And see, when you go into a bank and you ask for 30,000, 10,000, whatever the amount is, we have no way of knowing you. Your credit report and your credit score tells us so much about you. Are you a shopaholic? Do you pay your bills on time? Do you tend to have access, too much, because too much is a risk, too much is bad. A FICO score now, to get into that real quick, you have to realize that your FICO score, the better it is, the better the interest rates you're going to be offered when you're going for an auto loan or a mortgage or even a student loan. So that's very imperative, again, because it shows who you are, how you spend your money, how you manage your money. With credit scores also, there's 100 different scoring models. So if you're looking at Credit Karma and Credit Karma says that you have a 650, when you go for a car, they use a different scoring model than we use in the mortgage world. So it varies depending on the different scoring models that are used. And the scores come from an algorithm of how you pay, how you manage your money, how much spending you have. And so all of that gets taken into an account, right? And that's what determines what your score is. But your score is very important. And I always tell my kids, I have 3 kids, they're all grown, but since they were little, I would tell them 2 things in life that you need to really, really, really safeguard. And that is your reputation and your credit score. Go ahead, Ellen.
So I was gonna pose a different question to Nanette, which is, if I asked anybody here, would you lend me $10? You might be more likely to say yes. And I think that's a really important thing for young people to think about, putting themselves in the shoes of the lender as you start to build your credit. Because until you show lenders that you can borrow $10 and repay $10, then that lender might say, okay, well, they repaid the 10, so I'll lend them 20 the next time, or I'll lend them 100 the time after that. But you start to have to build your trust. For action items for everybody who's watching today, your credit score should not be a mystery to you. You should know your credit score, and even more importantly, you should take a look at your own credit report. There is a website called annualcreditreport.com, and if you go to that website, in normal circumstances, every year you can download for free the copies of the 3 main kinds of scores that tell you about your credit report. It'll tell you what your score is, what debt you're showing, if you have loans out. During COVID, they're now making it available. You can download every single week through the end of April. You could download your own 3 credit reports for free. So I'll put that website in the chat, but absolutely take advantage of it. There's no reason not to give. What did Oriana say, or Pamela said? Like, give yourself the knowledge. You should know what your credit score is, and if it's low and you want to bring it up, better to know now and start working on it. So I'll put that in the chat for you.
And honestly,
Thank you, Ellen.
with credit, you only really need 3 lines. Any more than 3 lines of credit is excessive credit. And one should always be an installment loan, which is either a car note or a student loan. And the other two could be store cards. And what I like to say is use them, don't abuse them. Put $20 on the card, the bill comes, pay the $20 off. Don't max out the card because then it's going to be harder for you to pay it down. And now all you're going to be paying is on interest. And the more balance you have, the more interest you're paying, so less you're paying on your balance. And that's a trick of the trade. And I gave that one out for free.
Thank you for the free advice on that. I do. We do have 5 minutes left, but I think I do want to get to Caroline asked in the chat, explaining how loans work, and especially for student loans. How long are you allowed to have a loan for? Does anybody want to take that question?
I'll take that question. It's Rosalie from Financial District. So I just happen to know this because I just recently took a loan as I'm taking my master's, and I've never actually I did pay my undergrad student loan like almost like right away. And I was a little bit confident to like take the student loan this time because I do have a job and I can pay it as I'm taking the courses. The student loans normally, and there are two, but normally you have to pay it no later than 6 months after you graduate. You do have the ability to pay it while you are studying, which I would highly suggest, and actually a financial guidance counselor would highly suggest it as well. And the reason is, as you're paying it off, the interest rate is going down as well. The interest that you're paying is going down as well because the principal amount of your loan is going down. So, and different, you really have to like speak to a financial counselor about this in your school because there are different requirements on whether you get a subsidized or unsubsidized student loan, and you really don't want to exceed, you know, what you're supposed to be paying for your tuition for that year because if you kind of like abuse it, you know, just like what Lynette said, like, you know, use it but don't abuse it. You just really want to like stay within your budget and try to like pay it off. Make it your focus if you're going to get a student loan. Make it your focus as you, you know, whether you're working part-time while you're in school or when you graduate to pay it off. Because as I said, like, you know, my first student loan when I was an undergrad, I paid it off within a year. I mean, you know, if I don't go out like on you know, or go on an expensive vacation or whatever, that's fine. I was over it within a year, and that was it. It's like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think, you know, when I was in college, I definitely didn't understand that you could start paying off those student loans while you're still in college. And there is different options. So, you know, I do encourage you all to really reach out to anybody at school or any financial advisors and, you know, ask those questions. And I do want to thank everybody, all the panelists. You guys were amazing. Thank you for all your advice. Oriana, as always, you do such an amazing job. We love having you facilitate these panels. So round of a virtual applause. Now, before we end, I do want to share with you all. Now, we learned a lot about finances, right? So how about if we put it into practice? So up on the screen, we have this simulation called Finance Park Virtual, where you can take on a role of a young adult, an adult working or in near retirement, and you can practice budgeting. All these different expenses will come up, all these different categories. And it's really a really cool way for all of us to really just, again, put all that stuff into practice. You would be receiving a fake life scenario. You'll have a set net monthly income. And from that net monthly income, you're then going to have to budget for all the expenses. for that particular month. You also will have the chance to, you know, as an adult, a working adult, you might have some kids, you might have a spouse, you might have some loans. So again, before you get into the workforce and start really having these big bills, this is a really cool way for you to be able to practice. You all will be receiving an email from me by the end of today with just, if you want to sign up, just let me know. Now it is 3 o'clock, so Steph, if you could go to the last slide there. All right, so next week we have a Women in STEM session that's at the same time, 2 o'clock. Please join us. It's going to be really great for all of you ladies who are thinking about having a career in STEM, just like Oriana. And then the following week, we'll do collaboration for problem solving. So thank you all for attending. It's always great to see some familiar faces. And again, thank you, Santander. Thank you, Oriana. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye now.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Happy
everyone. Take care.
holidays. Bye.